Hello and welcome to another jungle tutorial, and in this one, another episode in our How to Win series. We are going to look at how you can take control of a game in such a way that the enemy team surrenders before 20 minutes. And yes, before you get on a huff and a puff about how your laners are ridiculous and terrible and no one ever helps you, the point of this series is to show you things you can do, plays you can make, and other assorted techniques that are at your disposal so that you can actually carry these games and not worry about your laners. So think of this video as the jungle guide that uses everything we talk about all the time except all in one go to completely decimate the enemy team, and they do this with Evelynn while having no assistance. It is simply a jungler impact on the map, and you can do this as well no matter what MMR you're in. Focus on your own gameplay. So with my mini rant introduction, I'm ready to show you this game. Fantastic gameplay, very well done. If you love Evelynn, this is what you're looking to do. All of that and more coming up after this. And now back here with Evelynn going up against the Karthus, and the first thing you'll notice, she is not going for a leash. Raptors, red, Krugs, look to gank on the side lane. If there's nothing from there, you can look to gank in the mid, you can go to the top side. You have a few options, we've talked about this a few times. She is against a Karthus, and with a Karthus type jungler, you know, rushing 6, very impactful ultimate. Evelynn's kind of the same, except Evelynn can have stronger lane impact, and when you are against a champion like this, now, in low and mid MMR, you know, plat and below, you're probably gonna have junglers that aren't really AFK farm, but you know, they're AFK farming anyway, and that's your window to completely seize control, and you can use this kind of pathing to do that. So the first step is get level 3, look for lane impact. A lot of people complain, well, my lane's ungankable. If that were true, junglers wouldn't exist. In this case, the lane is in a neutral state. The Evelynn's lane has CC, the enemy mid does not have any CC but does have camouflage, you know, being a Wukong. It's very important that the laner sets up the gank well, going in, hitting the CC first, and then the Evelynn can follow up afterwards. It basically guarantees the gank to at least get a flash, if not a kill. So it's good to ping your laners when you're going for these kind of ganks, because, well, you know, if they know to go in first, laners pay attention to this, you can stack your CC much better, have much better success rates on these early ganks. And you would have noticed that the Karthus decided to go into the bottom lane, almost got the kill on the Lucian, but sadly now gives double buffs to the enemy bottom lane. So you've got an opposite effect here. What to do to get lane impact, and then what not to do. You never want to give double buffs to the enemy laner, but as a Karthus jungle, as a jungler, it's never the end of the world. You can rectify the situation. But from the Evelynn's point of view, given you know the Karthus just died, he was just on the bottom side of the map, there is no immediate rush to take the crab. You can transition directly to the top lane, because the top laner, if he knows what he's doing, in this case, he does. Tom Kench, you know, high intellectual play, knows that Evelynn was just in the mid lane and is gonna go ward the bush, but the Evelynn had predicted this, positioned herself in a perfect way. Aatrox, Evelynn, chain CC, flash doesn't matter, down goes the Catfish King. 2 ganks, 2 kills, fantastic start, has focused on lane impact and level 3 power spikes before falling back to crabs and her own topside jungle. A lot of times you'll see junglers focus on the clear like the Karthus did, and guess what, the Evelynn, if they path well and understand what the Karthus is doing, where they're starting, that gives you so much more of an opportunity to get fed and to carry early. And as Evelynn, you want level 6, and this is actually the best way to do it. However, with that focus on the top lane, getting that gank off, giving away the information that the Evelynn has yet to do her blue buff, let alone the crab, but lets the Karthus know, even though he had a bad beginning, that he can take his Gromp, easily steal her Raptors, and hit the Veigar for a nice gank on the mid lane. The fact that it's Wukong is irrelevant to you. Stop focusing on the picks and focus on the game. Now, because of this, Evelynn can do a full clear top to bottom. Yes, she lost to Raptors, of course, but on hitting the Krugs for the second time, this gives her a very early level 6, and she hasn't yet been back, but that's okay. Reading the map, having an extended sequence, using your experience advantage here will be much more beneficial than using a small item advantage. Especially seeing is that she's so much further ahead of everyone else on the map because of the minion soak, the ganks, and the second rotation Krugs that she already has taken. So the way that Evelynn has played already has shown you the opportunities that lie at your doorstep as a jungler in terms of level 3 ganks, quick rotations, sequencing your camps well, and then rotating to fights and getting up kills when you have a significant level lead, even if you haven't been back to buy. So keep your eyes on the map and use that advantage. And you might say, well, you know, the bot lane got inted and they died level 2. Yeah, so what's your point? The fact that the enemy bot lane died to your bot lane level 2 doesn't mean your bot lane's gonna win. I think we all know that very well. The game doesn't stay in the same state for long, so as a jungler, when a lane wins, go back there, keep the pressure up, keep the enemy down, and you give yourself the best chance to win. Now, she did that to the bottom lane, and she can go straight back to the top lane. And what did we talk about in the last video? Using your ganks and your pressure before crucial level power spikes. Shen hitting level 6. You want to try get kills on him to deny that early 6, but also to get him behind before he uses it. That's only beneficial. You can fall back to your camps. There's no need to rush to your red. Lane impact is key. And what's another jungling thing we talk about quite often? Very tight pathing around vision, looking for those pockets that you can exploit even if you're a camouflage champion. And when you have a significant lead, getting those control wards in the enemy jungle, hugging the walls to avoid detection, and surprising enemies even if you don't get a kill, even if you don't burn sums, just showing presence so that you are always on their mind. You essentially want to give them nervous disorder about where the jungler could be. And when you're a Twitch, I guess a Shaco, Evelynn, anything with a small amount of quick rotations or camouflage, that can be devastating for a laner who isn't playing their matchup correctly because they're so afraid of when you might show up. And all of this is done with great pathing and vision awareness. And on that note, the Karthus is keeping up in levels because, well, he's Karthus. But look at what the Evelynn does here. It's very important about that vision awareness. The controller triggers her location to the enemy team, heads out of the radius of that control ward before immediately turning back onto the bottom lane. This misleads the enemy about where she might be headed. However, with Evelynn, you always have to expect the worst. And one tower dive later, she's got yet another kill. And this is where you can use Evelynn's ability to completely break a game open by being annoying. And that's literally what it is. At the same time, if you're the Karthus, why are you playing Fate here? Just go back to base, walk back under your tower, walk, go away. But no, Evelynn keeps using her camouflage to avoid the Wukong, avoid the Karthus, in and out, and she eventually, of course, secured the kill on him. You'd expect more from a game of this MMR, but I guess it's representative of what most of you will see, so do the same thing. Use your camouflage between the towers, punish people as they come back from base, get more kills, but at the same time having a good concept of laner back timings is very important. Once Wukong came back, with the Veigar pushing freely on the mid lane, most likely the monkey was going to use his all-in ability to try and kill the Veigar, and it was a great read by the Evelynn. Before falling back and saying, you know, I'm so amazing, let me go take my red buff as a great reward. Hey, wait a second, maybe the enemy mid can punish my mid, let me be in the location, and oh look, a free kill. A little lucky that the Veigar survives, but nonetheless, great heads up play by the Evelynn. This whole thing has not centered around farming. Initial clearing sequencing is important, but most importantly is the demoralization of the enemy, because your lead is so great as a snowbally camouflage champion that there's really nothing they can do about it if you make the right reads on the map. But if you're the enemy Karthus, never fear, you can still make plays, you can still get things done. You know the Evelynn's most likely on the bottom side, you saw her head that direction, you're the same level as her, head to the top lane, low HP Aatrox, you've got a Tahm Kench, that's a free gank for you, so don't forget to apply pressure yourselves if you're in the Karthus situation. Yes, you've made some mistakes, but you can still have an impact. Just be very mindful of where the enemy jungle is going to be and keep your vision up. And on that note, that applies to the Evelynn as well. Keeping the pressure up, go back to base, get your item specs, head straight to the mid lane, take someone out, and when you have that lead, look to invade the enemy jungler because you are an assassin. Now remember, you need objectives, and Evelynn doesn't really have that same objective control other junglers might have, but if you understand when to tower dive, understand mini waves and lane states, you can collapse on the top laner very easily for a 2v1, especially when you have an Aatrox and you have an ult that makes you untargetable. Pretty easy move to make, you don't have to worry about your camp so much, and you can fall back and take them afterwards. But the Karthus again, counter moves to try and keep himself and his team in the game. Yes, the enemy bot lane is ahead, yes, they got the tower, but you can still rotate down, grab a kill, stack your ultimate, head back to base to buy. You are not out of this game considering how you scale. You also have a Lux in your team, so that can be quite dangerous if the Evans team was to let this get out of control. Now, invariably, a lot of you have told me, hey, look, we get these huge leads, we get our laners ahead, and then they just throw. So you mean like this, where the bottom lane pushes up mid without any vision control, your top lane is splitting, your mid lane is splitting, and people die. Well, as a jungler, you have objective control, and when you reach a certain point in the game, most junglers can solo dragons, they can solo heralds, and this is what you're gonna look to do. If you're an assassin like a Blue Kayn, a Rengar, a Kha'Zix, Obviously in Evelynn, once your team's been caught out and they're scattered, you don't have a numbers advantage. You're not going to be able to fight them when they have CC and they're well coordinated. So you can take the dragon, you can take a crab, you can always fall back and move in and out. You see how the Evelynn is moving in and out to pick up kills, get assists, take the Kratos off the map, and then rotates up to the Rift Herald. And you'll see these happening on screen now, and that's the whole point I've been trying to make to. A lot of the times a low elo jungler will fall prey to this, where they see their bottom lane get caught out, they try and help them and die, and then they blame their bottom lane. In high elo, you'll see a jungler do this. Well, their bottom lane got caught out, but their mid lane is on the bottom side getting a tower. I can take a mountain dragon, I can move in and out using camouflage to pick off kills. Don't suicide with your team. See what you can take given the situation. Even when Evelynn's doing the Herald, the Aatrox is on the top side drawing a whole bunch of attention. So when attention is drawn by another member of your team, what can you take from the enemy during that time? If your answer is I can farm my Gromp, well, there's the problem, and it lies with you, not with your laner split pushing 3v1. So as you see, the Sivir was starting to get kills, the Karthus had ulted a few people, this game wasn't well and truly over. The key is, whether your team makes a good play or bad play, you have to ask yourself, what is the right play for me to make that helps us win the game overall? There was very little laner rotation, there was very little laner assistance on the Evelynn. It was all her dictating and making the plays early while the Karthus farmed, so that he was always playing from behind, his laners were always playing from behind. And yes, if your laners are good, you can win with that quite easily. If they are not, then you can also lose that lead, but you still have control over what you can do based upon that. And honestly, that last sequence demoralized the enemy because they thought they had made the comeback plays, but the Evelynn still got a mountain dragon, still got Herald, still picking them off, and there's nothing they can really do to withstand that kind of pressure, and you've probably tilted the enemy team quite far, so they surrender, and that's the end of the game. In the event they don't surrender, make sure you use your Herald, make sure you keep pushing towers, and classic assassin thing, set traps using good vision in the enemy jungle, pick them off, and you can fall back to Baron, do all the easy macro things and use your gold lead to win. And this game is a quintessential example of what happens when you start to use all the things you've learned over the past few months, over the years of playing, you put it into one game, you can see the good things that can happen for your climb and just for your own fun. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and comment if you enjoyed. Don't forget to head to our giveaway link, $250 worth of RP and 30 Shaka codes, link in the pinned comment. Like, share, comment, sub, all those good things if you enjoyed and learned something at the same time. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.